All right, from the studio in Fairfax City, we are very grateful that Sharon Lia accepted our invitation to our show. Sharon, welcome to my humble podcast.
Hi, Claudia. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. Sharon, let's go back to the beginning of your life. How did you study music? Were you born like in a musical family, that sort of
My
things?
family was musical, but there were no songwriters.
I got
And
it.
I took to it and I never stopped.
Why music? Why something ballet or guitar or something else?
Well, I asked that question just recently. I asked that question, why did you put this on my heart? I asked the question, why was this overwhelming, visceral, undeniable mission put on my heart that I have spent all of my time and efforts? I've done other things, but I mean, this focus. And I mean, it was on my heart. I think I was given this gift and I was set off on a course to do it. And I feel like the end result has been to come to like this enlightenment, I guess.
For you. In high school, were you in any bands at all? Or
Oh yeah, I was in bands, I was in madrigals.
yeah.
Funny story, my high school music teacher heard me playing in the piano labs in my high school. I have a lot of little stories. I sang, I went to Catholic school and I sang in the 6th grade to pass religion. The teacher told my mom if she doesn't, we've got to get her to pass religion. So that's kind of ironic in a way. But and then I sang this song and I got all these people came to my mom and said, she's got such great control. And I was like, what does that mean? I was like 12. And then I started writing music. But then when I was in high school, my mom and dad had an organ and they had guitars and they sang folk songs and whatever. But they had an organ, and an organ isn't the same as a piano. And I always dreamed of having a piano. So when I went to school, they had piano labs. So I would always say that the girls were pissing the boys out under the bleachers, smoking, vaping, whatever.
Yeah.
I was in the piano labs, and my teacher came to me one day and she said, I want you to perform for the talent show. So yeah, it's kind of a long story, but she encouraged me to play, and I said yes. And I got my first standing ovation. And I was just a shy girl. I mean, I was kind of popular, but not popular, right?
Yeah, sure,
I didn't really fit in. I was like a square peg. And then when I played this song, I had all these friends come out of the woodwork and say, oh my gosh, just it was really fantastic. So, I mean, that's kind of my short story as far as, school, and then I went to college for music and a lot of stuff in between.
So you knew back then that you somehow you will end up in music when you didn't know how, right? So, but you finished high school, you were 17, 18, any pressure from your family in terms of forget about music, that's a crazy lifestyle, you're not going to make any money, go to law school, go to medicine, study something that you can get married, earn a living, or in case you don't get married.
There were expectations.
Yeah.
I wasn't warned against being a musician.
Honestly,
my mom and dad were busy doing they were good parents. They still are good parents. But, I wasn't necessarily an academic. So at one point, my dad realized, like, he thought I wasn't going to go to college. So he sort of just gave up. So, and when I told him one day I was going to go to college for liberal arts because I didn't know what I wanted to do, he goes, oh, you might as well get a degree in basket weaving. So he wasn't really very supportive of anything. They were not supportive of my music, my art, my skill set, my passions, I was kind of on my own. as far as this goes, which is even more insane because where did this fire for music? And I did it, and everywhere I went, everything I could do, just everything was always about music. And I did take a break for a short while, and we could get into what happened, but yeah. So that's the short and dirty.
Good for you. I was a troublemaker, man, when I was 18, and I came from a family of academics and big time academic, and my parent, my sister, and my cousin, and I was a black sheep. I was chasing girls and drinking beer.
Yeah, you're doing everything that I was just talking about, and I was in the piano labs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But I did end up going to the Aaron Copland School of Music. I had to sing arias. I had to play piano. I had to sight read. I have of the whole genesis of that. Honestly, there's a whole part of my story that is tragic, but also lined with absolute beauty. The footprints in the sand kind of thing. Someday I'd like to write a book, really. But yes, so that was pretty amazing when I went to school for music. Then I realized everything I needed to know about music, I already really kind of knew. So then I'm like, what can I do to make money? Because musicians, you're not making money for a while, unless you get into a symphony or orchestra, or you're lucky enough to get a record deal, or you're lucky enough to land a part, as a person in someone's band that's touring or whatever. So I got a degree in 3 degrees in graphic design.
Wow.
And that was another gift because I've used that to create everything you see. Everything you see, Sharon Lia Band, everything you see, I created.
Yeah.
So that's my my short story on formal education.
Sure. And I listened to all your albums this week, and Fairy Tale was released in 2016. That was 8 years ago. But what's happening between, in general terms, when I ask question in general terms, between the 20, you finished high school, you were 18, 19, you went to college, you graduated until 2016. So where I'm quite sure the music was there or in the background or something, doing something equivalent. It's not that somebody wake up one year, man, what I have done in 10 years, I should be a musician, so I want to sit at the piano or hire a producer and start evolve. How was the process for you from high school until the first record?
Well, everything I did, including the Miss New Jersey pageant, I was in the Miss New Jersey pageant.
Wow.
Everything that I did was always focused. The end game was always focused on music. That's it. That is the only thing. And then I had some life situations that took me off the path of music and art. And my sister came to me one day. She was 26 and she was living the life. She was making tons of money. She was living the life, right? And she said to me, Sharon, I know you think you're happy, but are you really happy? I'm like, yeah, I'm happy. She goes, are you really? Because you're not doing your art and your music. I really think you need to do your art and your music. You're wasting your talent. And I went, oh, well, then 3 months later, she passed away.
Sorry to hear.
She was hit by a car September 2nd, and it rocked. So anyway, so I was already in, I want to call a very dark period, not because of myself, but because of the situation. And that darkness was invading every aspect of my being and my life. And there was no room for music or art or anything else that brought me joy, just what it was. So, I started to break free from it, and I started to get back into who I was because of her inspiring me in her last words to me. So after that, I was like, I wrote a song. It's called I Will Remember, which you might remember is on the album. All these years later, I finally put it on the album, but I snuck out. I found the studio. I went into the studio. I had change in my pocket that I'd been saving. I went in secretly, recorded that song and two other songs, and that met a tragic end. That project, but I still had to pull myself away from this darkness, and I did, but it took many years, many years, and a lot of destruction. So anyway, after that, I was like, all right, I've got my responsibilities. I got to pay my bills. I got to put a roof over, the heads and this, that, and the other. And, but I focused. I went into the studio again. I recorded a 3-song demo, which was Fairy Tales, Dance With Me, and I Sit, I Stare, I Wait. I started working with some great people. And then I put out a children's album because I was doing children's music education and I wanted great music. And so and people are always like, you need to do something with your voice and your music. And I was like, ah. But like I said, I went and did a children's music. Then I had a children's show. That was smart business, right? And then I was allowing myself to give the gift of music to children. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was fun. And so then my demo got the attention of the Linda Creed people. Linda Creed wrote The Greatest Love of All, Gee by Golly Wow, You Make Me Feel Brand New, Stone in Love with You. I mean, people have heard her music even if they don't, And she passed away in 1986, I think it was, of breast cancer many moons ago. But several years ago, her husband wanted me to record her music. And I had to audition for him. And that's a whole other story. I told you those beautiful little linings, right? So that really started me. And then I was singing on my own, performing on my own. I was my own roadie. I was carrying my own equipment. I was going to shows. I was all over like the New York area, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. And I left Long Island where I was living like it was a ship on fire. And I left it in never turned back. And I landed in New Jersey, and then I landed in Pennsylvania. And one of the first things I wanted to do was start my own band where I could play in the sandbox with other people. There is an energy about being with musicians rather than me going in and laying down my piano, then laying down the strings and laying down this and having someone else come in and do percussion and this and that as a disjointed thing. I said, I want a band. I want to play. I want to have that energy. That's what I did. And then I put Fairy Tales together with new songs and put that out in 2016.
Okay. How was the album received at the time?
Great. It was great. I was still making my way, through the music, the noise of music. Right. So, and people loved the songs, loved it. And I was, gaining fans, and I had a lot of great reviews, and it was good. But then this is 2016. So it's so funny. I had a battle with cancer. I had an accident and a brain injury, and I broke my hand. These were things that took so much time to overcome, and it took me off my path. And sometimes I was like, why am I so magnetically drawn to this purpose? This is my purpose, but anyway, I just kept going.
You're a very strong woman, so
Thank you.
no, you are actually. You didn't give up. It's so easy to give up.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, you cry like I'm like you were. We're human being, right? So sometimes things don't work out in life with a husband, boyfriend, sister, mom, whatever, situation. But you keep pushing. No, this is my goal. This is what I came to this world to do, and I'm going to do it. It may take me longer,
Yes.
but I'm going to do it. So you did, because 3 years later, you end up releasing another album called Beyond Wonderland. So feel free to elaborate in that one.
Mm, I love talking about this stuff. So Beyond Wonderland was amazing. Fairy Tales was me starting a theme so many years ago, and then finally having an album called Fairy Tales. And then Beyond Wonderland was very special. I have written hundreds of songs. We're just at the precipice of breaking through. I have so much more to record. But Beyond Wonderland was great. We went into a studio with David Ivory, and that was a great experience. We learned so much from him, and he really helped hone our trajectory. So he worked with Hailstorm. I don't know if you're familiar with Hailstorm. Silvertide, Patti LaBelle, Erica Badu, The Roots.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he's a great, he's a great guy. And Hailstorm, he helped put them on the map. And they're a rock band. And when we met, I was thrilled for the opportunity to be able to work with him. And one of the things he said to me is, you have a children's album, which I've already told you about, Claudio. He says, and you have the Linda Creed album, which I've already mentioned. He said, but I want you to understand that we need for you to be in a lane. You want to be symphonic rock? You kind of need to stay in that lane so that your fans can focus and find you. So I think you should take down your albums. I was like, okay. I mean, working with him was amazing. He helped us develop our stage show. We were in the studio 3-4 nights a week for hours. And he was amazing. I have all this footage of all of it. It was such an exciting time. And we ended the album with Beyond Wonderland, which I like for your fans to break apart what Beyond Wonderland means to them.
sure.
It means something significant to me, but Beyond Wonderland is the last song of that album, and it steps off to Expanse. It's a stepping stone. It's where we ended up where I really wanted to be musically, with the symphonic elements, the instrumental elements, up against the gritty guitars and the movements, like classical movements. So I'm classically trained as a young girl. My mom, eventually I wrote my first song. My mom, I said, I think it's time for me to get lessons. She's like, oh yeah, let's do that. And then I took lessons. So anyway, so Beyond Wonderland opened the door for Expanse to a degree.
Yeah, gotcha. Good for you. But in between, you end up releasing Welcome to My World, right? Well, that was in 2021, right? But so like every 3 years or so, you were putting an album out, which is great. I mean, everything was you gaining momentum to your latest album that we'll
Well,
talk in
so
a couple of minutes. Yeah,
I basically re-released the Linda Creed. We
I see.
remastered it and
see.
I put it back. I told you David had us take my children's album and the Linda Creed music
Oh, I
off.
see. Yeah, I see.
And then I have great people in my life, and I got pushback from people. They're like, you need to have your music, all of it. You could be making money off your music. You need to put it all back. And so I did. As a matter of fact, I did my children's album, and I dreamed of creating a book with instructions on what to do with the children. And I worked 1,000 hours on the artwork and laying this out and publishing this book. And it goes over different instruments. It's for parents and caregivers and stuff. So I put this up, and I put the Linda Creed music back.
Have
So
you you got it? Have you submit that album, or have you reached out to, you know, public school and elementary programs where
I
people
have
can
not.
use your book to
I haven't,
for the
mostly
education program?
because I don't have the time.
Got it.
I need a couple more people on my team to help me accomplish all of the outreach and those kinds of tasks. And
Yeah.
everything I do is in-house. It's just my husband and I. He's my partner. He's my band member. He's the guy who auditioned to be in my band when I moved to Pennsylvania, all of that good stuff we haven't talked about. But it's really just him and I, the think tank and the work engine and all of that. So, but I would like to.
Yeah, actually, that could be, a good book that could be part of an educational program at elementary schools or middle school where you live on nation.
Yeah.
A little bit after that, I read that you in 2020 you ended up releasing a single, "The Sum of Us,"
Yeah.
which was chosen by Deepak Chopra
Yes.
for the audio version. So feel free to talk about that.
I always get so emotional. The Sum of Us is the song that I wrote after my accident. And I don't know if you know anything about brain injuries, but I broke my arm, my hand. I couldn't play piano, couldn't do anything. It was my right hand. I also suffered a brain injury, which I still suffer with some of the remnants to this day. Anyway. And so I was distraught. And for the first time in my life, I felt so hopeless that I would ever get better, that I wanted to die. I mean, that's pretty bad, because even in my darkest days, I was like, yeah, but I'll cry here and there, but I'll be like, I'll just get up and weeble wobble, but they don't fall down, right? That's me, right? But then I was watching someone that I love struggle with addiction. And as much as I wanted to give up, I thought about him and I thought, if I gave up, and he was giving up, he was dying of alcoholism. I said, if he gives up and I give up, like, what if the whole world just gives up? What would happen? Planes would fall out of the sky, buses would derail, trains would derail, buses would crash, boats would sink, hospitals would stop, the school would stop. What would happen? Which led me to believe, like, we can't give up. And so I was on the table at my doctor's office being worked on, and I wrote the song in like a half hour, came home, put it on piano, told my partner Rick about it, and that's how The Sum of Us was born, because that's when I realized that every single one of us contributes to the sum of us all in this world. We really all do matter, and even though we're just grains of sand, we feel so insignificant, but we're not, because there's a power in one. There's a power in the one word from my sister. There's a power in the one word from David Ivory. There is power in one, and I matter, and you matter. And that's where some of us comes from.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. You, some years ago, you ended up creating a foundation, and I think you are the CEO now of Ladies Who Rock for a Cause.
Yes.
It's a non-profit organization that you founded during your battle with breast cancer. Of course, it's a non-profit one. Feel free to elaborate on what was the motivation of creating the one, and why it's relevant for you and your life and your music and so on and so forth.
So as you know, I went out on a limb and I went full bore for my music career. And I've created a great circle of friends here locally, friends, fans, other musicians, colleagues, and really around the world, because now I'm a Grammy voting member and I'm involved in all these different things. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2014, September 11th, 2014. October 1st, I had my first breast cancer surgery. And then October 30th, I had my second one because they didn't get all the cancer cells. So we are on the 10-year anniversary right now. And then I had, thank you. I had treatment for many months well into 2015, but I had planned to have this music event. We wanted to bring women together to rock for a cause. And at the time, I met another woman who had cancer, and my heart broke for her. My heart broke for her. So I started working on this. I was going through radiation, but I was here developing the branding and the mission and getting all of the pieces together to bring all these bands together and pull off this music festival. And we did. It was super successful. And we gave this recipient thousands of dollars, and it touched her life. And we were angels on earth, she said. And so 2015 was my first festival. And then we did two in 2016. We took a break in 2017. And then we came back in 2018 with an outdoor festival. And right after that, my young cousin died and I had my accident. So that's the thing, life happens and you get pulled off and on. But we came back, we've been doing them. Then the pandemic happened. So we had a virtual festival in 2021. Right. So that was pretty awesome. We had to use all this technology. And this is where my husband is like the yin and the yang. This is why God put us together, no doubt, because he's got what I don't, and I have what he doesn't. And we work we're both so passionate. He's passionate about my music and being able to put his dirty guitar. He says, I stomp all over the music with my dirty guitar. And I'm like, yes, that's great. Because I try to bring the beauty and the symphony and the cinematic, and I want him to bring the edginess.
Sure.
And the question is like, why? I know I'm diverting. The question is why do I want that kind of music? Because I want to reach a certain kind of fan. I want to be on stage doing this symphonic music and giving people that energy that I got when I was 5, and my mom took me to some concert and I was like awestruck, and I felt full of that energy that artist gave me. So this is why I do this. This is why I love sending that energy back into the audience and having them talk to me afterwards and having them tell me how they feel about the music. So Ladies Who Rock for a Cause, 2021 was the virtual festival. And then my husband got very sick and nearly died, and nothing mattered. And he was in the hospital for 46 days. He lost 37 pounds. He was gaunt. He had no muscular system at all. He hadn't stepped on a floor in 46 days. And every day the doctors told me, today could be the day. And you need to just prepare yourself. Like, they gave me no hope. I was like, well, what do you think? You think he'll make it? And I was his biggest advocate on the outside, fighting for him. I was like, test him for vitamin D, test him for this, test him. Make sure you get him out of bed. Make sure you're doing physical therapy. Make sure you give him the steroid packs, or what can I bring for him? And, and then his own story of being in that hospital bed is a full other story. But he came home. It took about 6 months for him to get better. He'll never be the same. But one day he looked at me and he said, I'm ready to get back in the studio. So we did another festival. That was 2022. We had Taylor Dane, Tiffany, Jennifer Page, us, other bands that were great. It was a wonderful. We had billboards, we had radio coverage. I mean, it was fantastic. And then we did something similar in 2023. We had Tiffany back and Roses, and and then we took a little bit of time off to focus on Expanse, which is probably your next topic. But if people are interested, you can donate to Ladies Who Rock for Cause. We help women in need. We put on these music festivals to raise money to help women facing sudden crisis. Now, we've helped men, women, and children, but we found that 90% of the time it was a woman that was in need, and a lot of it was centered around cancer. So that just gives you an idea of where the focus is. But I created these comfort boxes with all of these beautiful things. My volunteers made heating pillows, and we have like lymphatic system rollers for your face and oil, and this teddy bear that's sending hugs that I designed, this little t-shirt. It's just
great.
it's a comfort box, and a patron can buy the comfort box and we can send it to a woman in need, or a patron can buy a box and send it to someone they would like to, instead of flowers.
Sure.
And so that's like a fundraising opportunity for us, because we keep part of the proceeds of the box, and then a woman gets the beautiful gift. So, and it just 100% of it goes to the foundation. So we do that. And right now I am donating 100% of any proceeds from my digital album download of Expanse to Ladies Who Rock for a Cause, so that we can support the hurricane victims, because we all feel helpless. We're not the Red Cross. We're not Samaritan's Purse. We don't have boots to go down there and start digging mud out. We don't even know people down there. Like, go to someone's house and say, hi, I'd like to start digging. So it's like, what can we do? Well, we can send money to the front lines who are capable of doing that. And so that's part of what we're doing right now.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Like the Red Cross and many institutions in this wonderful country and the world.
Yeah.
It's very tough. Like I told you before, I'm very lucky in my life. That's have a good life. I have no idea. Maybe somebody up there is looking after me, actually.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And absolutely. And your latest album is very, very good. What was the motivation to create that? Because you see, I listened to the whole album a couple times, or I can see your influence is coming from the Pink Floyd, yes, the Heart, the Pat Benatar, and I think that it took a long time to put that album together. So it was year of effort before releasing that wonderful album, which is a CD1 and CD2 and so on and so forth. So feel free to elaborate what this album is important to you, why did it take too long, and what has been the market reacted to that one.
So I recorded, so we wanted to start the next album, right? Beyond Wonderland was done.
Yep.
We started going into the studio and sort of fleshing out songs for our next album, whatever that would end up being.
Yep.
And we recorded Invisible, and it was coming along really nicely. We had just finished The Sum of Us, and then Rick became deathly ill. So everything stopped. Nothing mattered. It just stopped. And I started writing a song, actually two, called Blue Skies, which we went and got this piano that I saw in a vision 10 years ago. I saw a piano in a vision 10 years ago, and I drew it. It was a grand piano on a black checkered board with big atrial windows. And we saw one for sale, like on Marketplace. I've got keyboards all over my house, in my studio, but I still don't have a piano. So my husband wanted to go get me pianos, so my husband and my partners and friends and whatever. We go all the way out to Delaware. We pick up this piano because I saw it in a vision years ago. I was like, we have to have this. I'll have to show you the picture. And brought it home, and then we put it in my recording studio. We got all the instruments out because it was big, so I needed a space for it. And then I started writing Blue Skies, right? And I just, so everything stopped. He got sick. He came home. We were blessed with a second chance. One day he turns to me and says, let's get back in the studio. I said, okay. That was it. And I had written a song for my sister called I Will Remember. And one of my colleagues says, you should really think about putting that on the album. It's her time to honor her. You've held on to it all these years. And I said, you know what? Let me do one better. I'm going to take the song I wrote for her that I demoed out. I'm going to add a new chorus to it. And because it really wasn't a chorus. And that was where I came up with, because of you, I'm gonna live out loud. That part. And I wrote the beginning looking forward to my life without her. And then I wrote the chorus looking at the life I've lived without her. And I was going to name the album Live Out Loud. But I wanted an epic symphonic rock album. And Live Out Loud was not giving me that energy, that sense of wonder. I wanted exploration, discovery, wonder, right? I wanted to transport listeners to another world. I wanted them to leave what they're doing right now behind and just put them in a world of their own. So Blue Skies, there's a line of lyric in one of the choruses, and it says, in this expanse, and this Blue Skies is about going to space and looking at Earth. I don't know if you know that. This is the sci-fi part. And I have all these stories that I wrote and created short films for that describe these going to space things. There's a war in space, and the husband goes off to war, and she waits for him. That's I'll wait. So anyway, Blue Skies, there is this expanse with no dimension, because isn't that space? Space has no dimension. And the space inside of us has no dimension. So when I came across this, I said to these are the creative things that go in my brain. I want the album to be called Expanse. I want sci-fi, cinematic, symphonic rock, and Expanse is the perfect word. And it's in Blue Skies, which is about space. So that was the reason to create Expanse. And we did the songs. It took 4 years, 4,000 hours in the studio. That doesn't include the books I created or the short story films or the album artwork or anything else, just the music alone. It is our magnum opus. It's a 2-hour long voyage from start to finish.
Sure.
The second album, so the first album are the vocal versions with the strings and the synths and the guitars and the bass and the drums and all the elements, the sound effects. And then disc 2 are symphonic vocals. So what we did was we took our versions and we took out parts and we added different parts and took out the drums. We took out the heavy, crunchy guitar, the dirty boot that my husband talks about stamping all over my music. So we did 5 of those versions, and then we did 10 instrumental versions. And I have to tell you, this is like one of my most favorite things. The instrumental music was so challenging. So we took out all of the heavy stuff, focused on the string sections, added some more. It's a masterpiece of mixing and mastering, right? But then I had the added challenge of putting in the vocal lines, the backup vocal lines, in a soundscape that wasn't already there. So if you put strings over strings and they're the same tone, they wash each other out. They get
Yeah.
lost. If you put a synth over a synth, it washes out. There was and piano over piano, so I couldn't make the new vocal lead into a instrumental lead that already existed in the mix. So then we were in the studio for weeks finding the perfect sound for that top line melody and the counter melodies that you hear that are not me singing. And they were great. And they have this flange on them, and I was trying to replicate my own voice, ooh, like that. You can't do that on a keyboard, and you don't want to do that on strings either because you already have a string arrangement,
That's right. Yeah.
and what I found was I was able to find these sounds that really felt like you're watching a sci-fi movie.
Yeah. It seemed to me that uh I don't know if you are in touch with any film composers or film movie directors who can use some of your track for a commercial or a movie or something, because I think it could be
Yeah.
a good mix there, if I don't know if you plan on doing that, or I don't, easy for me to say because I don't know the, the Hollywood that well, but if you were to reach out to the correct person, like film editors that always in the lookup for new music, or working under a particular director, that they look for a specific thing,
Yeah.
or scene that can use
It would be, I get all like choked up. It would be another dream come true.
Yeah.
Because I am so inspired by movie music.
Yeah.
James Horner, Andy Williams, or John Williams,
Okay.
Andrew Lloyd Webber. I mean, I've seen his Broadway plays multiple times. And I wrote my first song after seeing a movie. I get that way. I see a movie, I hear this music, and I go right to the piano. I start writing. It's insane. It's like a trigger. It is a dream of mine. People tell me this all the time. Your music is epic. It's cinematic.
Exactly, right. So I don't know if you, of course, you know who Hans Zimmer is, and he was touring here in the United States, and actually tonight is the last show in Las Vegas.
So my friend Juan
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
My friend Juan is the Snow Owl. He plays.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's my friend.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I just talked to him yesterday.
Right. Yeah. I will be interviewing him actually in a couple of weeks.
Oh, well, you have to tell him I said hello and that I talked about him on your show.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, and I know of Hans Zimmer and Lisa Gerard, and then Tina Wu and Pedro Stuchet, and so several people that I got. I'm lucky that I was able to go backstage a couple of weeks ago, and I ended up meeting them, and so.
My dream would be to work with Hans Zimmer and an orchestra. So you have us on stage doing the music, and I have the full complement of the orchestra. It would be amazing. That's like my next big goal.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got you. I hope it happens. And in this particular album, for this particular album that was released in August 30, 2024, you have like different version, right? Somebody feel free to elaborate on. People can buy the booklet or deluxe editions. I don't know if you have it behind you.
Oh, yes.
So they are like different versions, right? The simple version, 1 CD, 2 CDs. The other version that comes with a booklet and
yes. I will show you.
Yeah.
It's not open, but this is this is the album, and it opens up. It opens up into a threefold. There's 2 albums on either side, and a booklet in the middle.
I see it.
Then there's this book which I created, and it's got all the characters. This is the one for my sister.
Yeah. Wow.
they're avatars of me. They're just different characters, different
Yeah.
portrayals. So this is the one book. This is the other book. This was a labor of love as well, and it is the transposition
I
of
see.
every note. It's so much time. But anyway, it's a labor of love. So, and these actually, we have a box set. We only have 5 right now, but it's these 2 books. This album, there's a solar system bracelet that shows the unity of the Expanse. And there's a poster and a book, so it comes in the black Expanse box on Bandcamp.
Yep.
You can go to SharonLiaBand.com. And if you want to, you can listen or you can buy now. And
Sure. I will be putting the links, so don't worry.
yes, thank you. So, and
and then it's something that you could now plan. Are you planning going to some music, try to perform live and go to festival next year and then do some tours? Or?
Yes. So right now we are currently in studio, preparing the show, the Expanse performance, because it's not just, and we are planning our Expanse tour, our album launch event as we speak.
Got it. And then do you go to an independent record label, or you go to a well-known record label, or you guys do everything on your own? And
we have our own record label, and we have our own musicians. We have our bass player. We had a different drummer and a different keyboard player. In addition to me, I'm the keyboard player as well. We currently have our band that we'll be touring with, and so we're Sharrock Records. We have our own record label, my own publishing company, and that's how you do it, because record labels, it's not the way it used to be, and there's really no benefit to being with a label, because whatever money they give you, you have to pay it back.
Right.
So I'd rather lay out my own money and pay myself back, and keep more of the money.
Absolutely. In Bandcamp, how you doing it? Because I noticed that you have everything on Bandcamp. Are you guys doing okay? Your sales are going well?
Sales are going good. My books are actually also on Amazon.
I see. Yeah.
But you can't get the box set and you can't get the physical album on Amazon. So Bandcamp is where that's really the hub of where we sell the bulk of things. But people can listen they're listening everywhere. Spotify is doing great. Invisible is like a really fan favorite, Invisible. And people are listening to the symphonic and the instrumental and the radio versions. Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, anywhere where you stream music. But I'm on a mission to have people own their music. Don't you love to hold something in your hand? Even when I'm reading a book, I don't like a digital book. I like to hold a book, go outside, sip my coffee, read a little bit. It's an experience, and that's what life's supposed to be about, is the experience, not just putting on a record and putting on Spotify and letting it go into your brain. No, put on headphones or go listen in your big studio or whatever and experience. That's what the point of this is.
Yeah, I believe me, I do the same. I during the kind of the summer, fall, I do the interviews from the outside, but I have a big music collection. I mean, I don't know, close to 15,000, I think, between CDs, Blu-ray, vinyl. I have stereos and Dolby and 5.1 in every floor in the house. No, I mean, music I don't read any music. I don't know how to play instrument, but music, as I told you before, it's an important part of my life. So I spend a lot of money in buying music and supporting artists in Bandcamp and Patreon and so on, because
Yeah.
it's the
Well,
right thing to do, you know. So
that's very kind of you. And we have a box set on our website. If we only have
I
5
did
left. But that is beautiful. I love to hear how people are affected by music because we take it for
absolutely.
because we make it. We make the
Yeah,
music.
that's right. Yeah, you know,
So
we live in crazy times. You know, with Israel and Palestine killing one another, and Ukraine and Russia. And we live in crazy time. Maybe as a human, as a society, we are doomed. I don't know. Hopefully, music can save us, or books can save us, or art, and you know, people going to museum can help us in the world.
finding the light
Yeah,
inside of
absolutely.
us, which
Yeah,
is how the end of this album, I've
yeah,
hidden secrets throughout this entire album.
yeah.
Uh, I've we could have a whole discussion on all the Easter eggs, but the Morse code that you hear in Blue Skies and in the beginning track,
Yeah.
and that also appears
Yeah, in the worst. Yeah, yeah.
in the logo. That Morse code means embrace the light. And this is the light at the end. And
I
it
got
says,
it.
and at the end, it says, embrace
Yeah,
the light inside of you and me. It's about finding purpose, going through love, loss, adventure, breaking chains, fighting for what you believe in, all through the lens of a sci-fi, trip through the expanse, beyond the stars to the one within our souls, and finding the ultimate light. And my hope is that in some small way,
mm,
my music can encourage someone to find the light inside themselves.
absolutely, absolutely. And it had nothing. What you just said had nothing to do with religion. I mean, you know, whether you are Christian or Catholic, I would say, or Muslim or Jewish or whatever, it's part of being conscious about the world and being a human being in this crazy planet that we live. And
Mhm.
you know, whether you believe in God or not, but it's you know, it's or try to help people out, or doing the right thing in life, whatever that means. You know, help people
Yep.
in church, or in your, like in your case, your nonprofit organization. That's the right thing to do, I suppose, that as human
Yeah.
being. You know, so
When my sister passed away, I couldn't make sense of anything.
yeah,
So, kind of like in a robotic fashion,
yeah,
I told you I was going back to school for music, and then I switched to graphic design. And I was in this class, and my professor made me do an assignment on a
mm,
philosopher. And I'm very philosophical. So when I got to pick my philosopher, I picked Rene Descartes. He was a philosopher, but he was also an optometrist. He identified the spectrum, the rainbow. He was like the father of modern geometry. And he also coined a phrase, I think, therefore I am. So when I learned that, I was in tears. I called my dad, who I told you didn't have a whole lot of, he tried to help me with schoolwork, and he realized, I would rather be making music. But I called him and said, Dad, I passed math. And he said, you did? I said, yeah, I rocked it because I hate math. And I said, I learned something about this philosopher, and I got like 100% or 4.0 right in this. And I found some meaning because I couldn't find meaning after the loss of my sister. I'm like, why get out of bed? Why make my bed? Why wash my clothes? I'm just gonna die. Why eat anything? I'm just gonna die. Why should anybody even want to be a president? Like, why would anybody want to do anything? I had no answers and tons of questions. And
mm,
when I read that, I think, therefore I am, I realized in that moment that we are here. We exist.
mm,
And existing, we don't want to be miserable. We don't want to be unhappy. We want to be comfortable, and we want to be joyful. And therefore, no matter what you believe, if you think you are alive, you are here, you exist, you are.
yeah.
And it changed my life and my perspective. And I turned around and I was like, okay, let's get going. Let's get this party on the road. I'm making music. I have a new lease on life. I have a purpose. I know my journey. I'm done. Let's go.
Good for you, man.
And that's
Yeah.
it. And it's
I, yeah,
this is
go
the
ahead.
power of one. One person coined one phrase that all these years later lit a spark in me. So, yes,
Yeah.
I hope that the music will touch and reach people.
Yeah. I have seen the light too. And I have seen the other side as well. One day we'll talk about that.
I would
Uh,
love to. I would love to keep in touch with you.
yeah. It was very nice talking to you, Sharon. The album is great. It took me a couple of time to because I listened to the first CD and then the second one in MP3, and I went to Bandcamp and I put my headphone and it's great. It's a very, very well done album, very rock, symphonic rock, if you will. And I wish you good luck with your organization, the tour. I'm quite sure we'll stay in touch. And now I need to buy it, so get a signed copy for you or something. We'll make arrangement with that. So it was very nice talking to you. Good luck to you, and hope everything work out. And maybe one day, your music, at least a couple of tracks will be part of a film or be in a film score or so.
That would be amazing. Claudio, thank you. It was so nice to talk to you and
Same here.
get to know you a little bit.
You bet.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
very much.
much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good luck to you.